This was the start of Stewart-Haas Racing back in 2009, and they hit the ground freaking running while winning a championship within their first 3 years of being an organization. And this is Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024, 15 years later, and they are now closing business. The operation is done. Do you know how crazy that is? Like 15 years where you thought Stewart-Haas Racing was going to be the next powerhouse of NASCAR, and they were close to becoming a true powerhouse of NASCAR, and now they're just done. What? I know this video is coming out a little bit late because it happened 2 days ago, but Bob Pockris with a tweet that Stewart-Haas Racing will close out the 2024 season. There are rumors going on that it was going to happen, and this was the statement from Tony Stewart and Gene Haas. We have made the difficult decision to close Stewart-Haas Racing at the conclusion of the 2024 season. It is a decision that has not come easily, nor was made quickly. Racing is a labor-intensive, humbling sport, requires unwavering commitment, vast resources, 365-day mindset to be better than everyone else. It's part of what makes success so rewarding. The commitment needed to attract maximum performance while providing sustainability is incredibly demanding, and we've reached a point in our respective personal and business lives where it's time to pass the torch. And then they go on to be saying they're proud of the championship since 2009, the races and everything, the commitment from their partners, and they will continue on in the final season to try and do the best they can. Now, before we go any further, I do want to make a little bit of a special announcement. We have hit 80,000 subscribers. Thank you, everyone, so much. You guys are the best. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we have to just keep pushing, trying to get to 100,000. I also want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members, as always, for helping me support the channel. And please, 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 guys, if you can, it is only the price of a coffee, okay? So if just $5 a month, if you can help with the Patreon, I would really, really appreciate that. You also get access to the Discord channel that way as well. And shout out to them, obviously. And so let's continue into this. I have a lot of opinions on this. I really do. Because when I was growing up and I saw that Stewart-Haas Racing came in, you know, this right here is really like a special photo. And I want to shout out the Twitter account NASCAR Picks That Go Hard that shared this photo. This is a very, very special photo because when Stewart-Haas Racing like first came to the scene, I immediately thought, especially that 2009 stint from Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, but specifically Tony Stewart, I really thought like, okay, this is a first-year team coming in. Gene Haas has a lot of money, and they're going to eventually build to a 4-car team. They're going to eventually be a powerhouse, and it's going to be Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Stewart-Haas Racing as the 3 main powerhouses of NASCAR. That was my true like thought process. You also had Roush Fenway Racing there as well, but like you really had these powerhouses coming in. And then obviously they win the championship in 2011, and then Kevin Harvick comes through. Kevin Harvick, let me go find, I think it was Darian. Darian, where are you? Darian, let me find you. Where are you? Where are you? You are somewhere here on Twitter, probably, eventually. Oh, there's actually a cool stat, right here. Like, look at this, 15 years. So Stewart-Haas Racing joined the NASCAR Cup Series in 2009. Since then, they've been ranked as one of the 4 elite teams in NASCAR. Look at this. So Hendrick Motorsports has 6 championships. Obviously, we know that. Penske have 4. Stewart-Haas Racing have 2. And Joe Gibbs Racing have 2. Stewart-Haas Racing the same amount of championships as Joe Gibbs Racing. Do you know how, like, crazy that is? Now, I think the only 2 championships are Kyle Busch. But, you know, it's just crazy to think about that. Wins, Joe Gibbs Racing 145, Hendrick 132, Stewart-Haas Racing is at 69. Top 5s, 339. Top 10s, 695. Laps led, 19,819. Now, I would love to see these stats, honestly, if you go from 2020 back and not 2024 back. Because ever since 2020, from 2020 to 2024, the downfall of Stewart-Haas Racing has been like it's been steep, it's been surprising, and it's been alarming. Like, that's how quick it has happened. So I would love to see the stats. If you take away, like, I'm talking about wins, top 5s, top 10s, take away the last 4 years and how close is Stewart-Haas Racing to Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs, and Team Penske. I'll be very fascinated to see that, because it was crazy how quick it happened. And I just want to point out that this guy right here, that's Josh Berry. That's from this week. Now, where is good old Kevin Harvick? Here he is. Okay, and this was the tweet I was talking about. Thank you, Darian, for I was trying to find your tweet. These are the 2 championships. Tony Stewart in 2011, Kevin Harvick in 2014. Still wish this was Jeff Gordon. All right, I still have the pain in the heart of my soul. I was hoping this was Gordon, but it didn't happen. I still thought Gordon had the best car that year, but it's okay. The second best car, or arguably the best car, they were very close, but a deserving champion in Kevin Harvick in the first year of the insane format, by the way. This guy was so dominant, and not just for 2014. It would carry on until, like I said, that around that 2020 mark, where Kevin Harvick would be, and Rodney Childress would be so good in this 4 car. And so what happened? What happened to Stewart-Haas Racing? There's another moment. Let's see if I can find it. There's another moment. Where is it? Right here. Everyone remember this? Everybody remember this? Talladega. I actually don't remember the exact year that this happened. I'm guessing, just looking at the paint schemes, I want to take a guess and say 2021, but maybe not 20. I don't know. Yeah, you know, that's how you know I'm very far off. This is not 2021, guys. This is 2018. I'm telling you, it gets hard. Like, you know, between like 2017 and the COVID year, between that time, it's like really, it blurs. Because remember, you had 550 horsepower package, and remember you having 160 like mile per hour laps at Charlotte in qualifying. It was a bad time. But my point is, this race in 2018, I think it was the fall Talladega race. This race was crazy. You've never seen like domination like this before. And this is still when Kevin Harvick was absolutely dominant. Like, he was still like really the leader of the team and absolutely just cruising on. Now it's all over, which is just very crazy to me. This is what they said. Word on our while our future has changed, we're still committed to delivering our typical content until the checkered flag drops in Phoenix. We're racing every week. We have partners to deliver to. We have drivers to elevate. We have fans still following. Please keep in mind there are humans behind our accounts and at this team when we're thankful for your support. And that is also true. No matter what you think of Stewart-Haas Racing's performance, this is still one of the biggest teams in NASCAR, which means they still have hundreds of employees, and now hundreds of employees are going to be out of a job. Now, obviously, hopefully they will get picked up, but not all of them will get picked up. You know, we don't know how many of them will be, but a lot of them will not. And that's really a shame to anyone. Obviously, if you lose your job and you're laid off, it is, you know, one of the worst feelings. So what is happening with the charter system? And actually, before we go to that, this is actually a really good clip of Kevin Harvick. I mean, just the first 10 seconds. Watch the first 10 seconds.
It's unbelievable to me, really, that we went from forever to forward to for sale in 6 months. And it's just, I don't even know how you could possibly imagine sitting here today and thinking 6 months later that Stewart-Haas Racing is going to announce that they're basically
folding.
That is, like, that's crazy. Like, this is someone that was part of the organization 6 months ago. Like 6 months ago, he was still part of SHR and everything. And yeah, it's over just like that. Now the charter system. Now I will be the first one to tell you, you guys know this. The charter system still confuses the hell out of me. I really don't understand what the charter system is about. You guys have explained it to me many times before, and the best way that I could try to explain it to myself or like try to understand it is that the charter system is like if you had every team as and you safeguard it with like a, I don't know, like you turn the teams into franchises basically. So like you have some sort of you know, fallback option in case, you know, to offer security to the race teams. Like, okay, you have the ability to compete in the Cup Series. We're gonna give you this charter, which is just, I don't know, probably like a piece of freaking paper or something, and it has you have a specific value now because you are guaranteed to race in the Cup Series with this, and that's how you do it. No more qualify or, you know, stuff like that, because, well, there's not enough race teams to really justify you know, trying to race your way in or anything. So if you obtain a charter, you get to race the season. That's basically like what I think the charter system is all about. So Stewart-Haas Racing has 4 charters, and the charters are now going to go up to sale. And so 3 of them, according to Bob Pockrass, are going to be, you know, sorted out. So Front Row Motorsports, 2311, and Trackhouse. By the way, 2311, that new, listen, that new facility 2311 has, holy crap. I mean, my lord. I mean, look at this thing. this is their new airspeed facility. Michael Jordan, thank you for having a hobby in NASCAR, because this is all coming from Jordan. He's just straight up. He has so much money. He's like, I want to have fun, and look at this. This 2311 is going to be the powerhouse. It's not going to be Stewart-Haas Racing. I'll tell you that. Why did I even say it? That's obvious. Stewart-Haas Racing is closing down. I don't know. But what I meant is 2311 is in that position that Stewart-Haas Racing was 15 years ago, where we look at 2311, we're like, okay, they start as a two-car team. They have Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin as well, but, you know, Michael Jordan with all the funds behind it. Like, they are perfectly set up to become a powerhouse alongside Joe Gibbs Racing. So, like, if they stay with Toyota, it will be Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 that carries the Toyota banner, while you also have Chevy staying with Hendrick Motorsports and Trackhouse, because Trackhouse is important here. Trackhouse Racing, another team with Justin Marks that also wants to invest a lot of money into it, which is going to gain a third charter. Front Row Motorsports has always been not a back marker team, but not one of the elite teams. So Front Row getting a third charter is very important for them. 2311 and Trackhouse are really, really big beneficiaries from this, because they will now turn into two-car teams into three-car teams. And I think with the right moves, that will be helpful. And they also have the owners that are going to put money into it. Now, the fourth charter is unclear. According to Bob, it could be Legacy, it could be RFK, it could be JTG, have all indicated interest in expanding, but I do not expect them to be in play for any of the SHR charters, and Junior Motorsports not as well. One day, I hope Junior Motorsports can, but like I said, Junior Motorsports, Dale Earnhardt Jr. does not have the funds to just burn on a Cup Series team like that. Like, he just can't do it. So, you know, it would be amazing one day to get Junior Motorsports into NASCAR, but to ever see Junior Motorsports into the Cup Series as a really powerful team, I don't think is going to happen, honestly, anytime soon, unless there's some sort of somebody with a lot of money that comes in and wants to invest with Dale Earnhardt Jr. into Junior Motorsports and says, listen, I'll fund everything. Then it will happen. But simply, if you are in NASCAR, if you are in Cup Series racing, if you're in NASCAR in general, because Xfinity and the Truck Series count for this as well, you're not here to make money. They're trying as much as they can to help the teams make money. Actually, I don't even know if NASCAR is really putting in all their effort into that, but you're not here to make money. You're here to win. If you want to come here to make money, well, especially when you're going up against guys like Rick Hendrick and Joe Gibbs and Michael Jordan now, who are here to win. Like, Michael Jordan is not here to make money. Rick Hendrick has been here to win for a very long time. Then it's not going to work out. So that's how JRM is going to have to get in, is just to buy another way. And this is something I also wanted to talk about. Nick here, put out a really interesting tweet. 3,000 likes. DEI loses Eric Almirola, and they go down. RPM loses Eric Almirola, and they go down. And then Eric Almirola goes to Stewart-Haas Racing after Danica Patrick, and they go down. Now, it's not really about Eric Almirola. This is actually one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about with Stewart-Haas Racing as to why I think things fell apart. You had, You had these two. You had Ryan Newman, you had Tony Stewart. After Tony Stewart, you had Kevin Harvick come in. You still had Ryan Newman. You had Kurt Busch come in, right? So you still had really good drivers competing for your organization. The problem came when Danica came into the sport. And this is what started a little bit of a bad trend for Stewart-Haas Racing. Now, I'm not trying to criticize Danica, but we all know that she did not deserve this ride. The hype was very real, but she was not competitive in this ride whatsoever. And I want to point that out because the next person that I talk about also did not deserve this ride. But this was a more extreme version of it. We're talking about Danica Patrick. That was, if you were watching her since she came into NASCAR and when she left, 25th, 30th every single week, not running well, not getting top 10s, not even trying to get top 15s, not competing, while Tony Stewart was competing, while Kevin Harvick was dominating. Kurt Busch, when he comes in, was competing. Danica never competed. She never competed. She was not fit to be in this ride, but she was in this ride because of her name, because of the money that she brought along with GoDaddy, and the multitude of other sponsors that she brought. So that is why she had this ride. When you align yourself with mediocrity for so long, you become mediocre. And that's what happens here with Eric Almirola. Now, when Eric Almirola comes in, to replace Danica Patrick, and we all thought, okay, or as Tony Stewart and Gene Haas was going to tell us, that Eric Almirola is going to be competitive in this ride. No, he was never going to. Eric Almirola was never competitive in any of his other rides. Eric Almirola didn't do anything to deserve that number 10 ride. Why did he get it? Smithfield. That's why he got it. Smithfield was following Eric Almirola for a very long time. I don't know what kind of personal relationship they had, but Smithfield was all on board with Eric Almirola. Full sponsorship for the full season, full funding. So for Stewart-Haas Racing, they had that 10 car, like before with Danica Patrick, fully funded, under wraps, sponsorship drives everything. If you can pay for your ride, you are going to be in it. This set the dangerous precedent that Stewart-Haas Racing continued since Danica Patrick to Eric Almirola, and then it continues on into the future, just trying to find sponsorship, who can run this, who can run that, and you go on from there. Once you lose Danica Patrick, once you lose Eric Almirola from Smithfield, and you already expand into a 4-car team, you continue trying to run a 4-car team, but you don't have that funding, you've stepped over your boundaries, and while you are expanding into a 4-car team and trying to become a NASCAR powerhouse and Gene Haas is funding you, Gene Haas says, I'm going to go create a Formula 1 team. So, in the mid-2010s, Gene Haas says, I'm going to go create a Formula 1 team, and now he's going to put a lot of his funding into the Formula 1 team, which is way, 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 way more expensive to run than the NASCAR team. So now he's trying to balance the two. This doesn't work out, obviously, because, Gene Haas and Haas F1 have never really broken in to being a competitive Formula 1 team. They are still there. They are a small team, and they're trying the best they can, and Gene Haas is still pouring in money, trying to make this thing work. But once this happens and you have full sponsorship funding on the 10 car and you have a 4-car team here and you're trying to balance between Formula 1 and NASCAR, and then and then your NASCAR team in 2020 starts just dipping down and everything starts going for the worst, it was kind of inevitable at this point that they just tried too much. And now Tony Stewart really, really, really wanted to make this work, but it just did not work. And there's one last thing that I think I want to talk about, and this does involve Tony Stewart. I would like to actually, we're kind of, we're gonna have to Google him, I guess. This article was written in 2021, but it happened a little bit earlier, obviously, when Larson was out of a ride and was a free agent due to his incident on iRacing. This moment is what really sealed the deal for Stewart-Haas Racing, and this is why I don't blame any of Stewart-Haas Racing's decline. I do not blame any of it on Tony Stewart. I think Tony Stewart tried his best to make this work, but obviously he needed the help from Gene Haas. It was a 50-50 deal. Gene Haas had to provide a lot of the funding. Tony Stewart provided some as well, but he was, he was the brains behind the organization, really, and trying to make everything work. And he tried. He really did, to sign Kyle Larson. And I remember when Kyle Larson became a free agent and we were all back in 2019, 2020, when it was all happening, we were all saying that Kyle Larson needs to go to Stewart-Haas Racing. Tony Stewart needs to sign Kyle Larson. It's a match made in heaven. And, it didn't really work out. Tony Stewart attempted to snag Larson. The co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing is also a dirt track fanatic, as he's the owner of his own dirt racetrack. And this was, remember, when Kyle Larson was doing dirt racing only and not in NASCAR, and he was just obliterating the dirt scene, just doing an insane amount of job. It appeared obvious that Larson would likely land at Stewart-Haas Racing. Clint Boyer was heading into retirement, and Eric Almirola sat with an expiring contract. And then what happened? Remember what I was just talking about with Eric Almirola. Where is he? I lost him. Whatever. Well, I have so many tabs open now. I'm trying to get back here. Okay. Remember what I was saying about Eric Almirola? About you get in bed with the full sponsorship, and this is what you're doing. This is how you're running a 4-car team because you have one of your cars being fully funded by Smithfield. Well, then you're stuck with him, and you're stuck with mediocrity. You were stuck with Danica Patrick, and now you're stuck with Eric Almirola because you've stuck yourself in this terrible business practice of not letting talent determine who is in your car. You're just simply letting money determine it, and neither did Danica or Eric Almirola deserve that ride. And Almirola renews. Chase Briscoe then signs with the team to drive the 14 for Stewart-Haas. Why that might be, well, we'll find out soon. But I know for a fact Mr. Larson was not as expensive, maybe even cheaper than Briscoe, because Larson didn't have a ride, and he was, obviously not. He was not going to have sponsorship with him, so he'd have to get paid a much lesser salary, and all that. Now Briscoe did have some sponsorships with him, but this is the big thing. Manufacturers. This is the one. Okay, so the heartbeat of the sport. They provide endless support to the top teams, including data, money, and simulator time. And we haven't talked about this. We talk about how Gene Haas puts money into it, and Michael Jordan puts money into it. But obviously, you need to have Toyota, Chevy, and Ford being together. Now, the reason was Ford, and I've said this before in many videos before, that the guys in suits, the executives, need to just step the hell back and let them do what they need to do. But that was it. He said, I said that the day I found out I couldn't get him. I said it that day, probably in words that I can't use right now. But I said that a lot that day, and I have said it every day since then, Tony Stewart told CBS. That will be one of the biggest regrets of my professional career, is not getting that kid and having an opportunity to race him in our cars. He's a once-in-a-lifetime driver. I say he's a unicorn. He's just literally one of those guys that, who knows, I'm sure in our lifetime we're probably going to see somebody else come along that's going to be like Kyle, but it's probably going to be a long time before we see another person step up and another driver step up and do what Kyle has been able to do in the last year and a half. He tried as much as he can, and Ford would never let it happen. Instead, Rick Hendrick, the power that he is, the relationship that he has with Chevy, and able to put HendrickCars.com and able to fund that car out of his own pocket, that was the difference. And I think there are many turning points that date back to Danica Patrick entering that 10 car. They date back to Eric Almirola entering that 10 car. The signs were there of Kevin Harvick just carrying the team on his back, while the other teams in that organization were not doing well. There are many moments, little tipping moments for Stewart-Haas Racing that determined them becoming a powerhouse in NASCAR with Joe Gibbs and Hendrick Motorsports, or just becoming another Roush Fenway story, or a failed powerhouse that was supposed to be. And this was the last major one. This was the last major one that happened when Kyle Larson was not able to go to Stewart-Haas Racing, and instead he went to Hendrick Motorsports. When that happened, it was over. And ever since then, we've seen, Stewart-Haas Racing struggle, even with Kevin Harvick still trying to carry the team. They were struggling, and it felt like it was inevitable that even though they were a 4-car team, they're probably not going to be 4 cars in the future. That's what we all thought. And instead, they don't downsize. They just wipe up shop. That is it. That was the downfall of Stewart-Haas Racing. They made many mistakes, but this one is, in my opinion, one of the biggest ones. And it's not his fault. It is not Tony Stewart's fault. It's a real shame. It really is. And I feel really bad for Stewart-Haas Racing, but it is what it is, and now they are done. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This was Stewart-Haas Racing at the beginning, and now Stewart-Haas Racing will be done. What do you think about their situation? Do you agree with me that I think those moments of Danica, Eric Almirola not signing Kyle Larson, the Formula One team, I think all these moments play a part in the downfall of SHR and why they didn't become what they should have become. Again, hopefully all the employees will be okay. Hopefully a lot of them will be picked up, whether it be by other organizations. It's a very terrible situation. So I really do feel for them. Take care of yourselves. I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me know in the comments down below. Share this video around, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you're not already. Subscribe if you're new. Peace out.